Well, it might have been the final Pittsburgh Penguins home game of the 23-24 NHL season. Hi, I'm Dan Kingerski at the Pittsburgh Hockey Now, the National Hockey Now YouTube channel. The Penguins, with probably their best first period, maybe one of their most complete efforts of the season, they overwhelmed the Nashville Predators 4-2 here at PPG. So you can see the podium behind me. One of the weird things of hockey where after the final home game, they skate out onto the ice, players give away their jerseys, kind of delays, the reaction after the game. Evgeny Malkin said it best. If we play this way all season, we would have clinched a playoff berth. And I think in that right now lies both the optimism and in a few days might lie the regret of the Penguins season. Here's what has to happen. Before we get into the Nashville Predators game and before we get to your questions, the Penguins need 2 losses on Tuesday. Odds are long. The Penguins need Montreal to beat Detroit, and Montreal had them on Monday. Montreal had Detroit 4-1 deep into the third period. The Red Wings come back to tie it. Lucas Raymond, Penguins killer here in Pittsburgh or wherever he's playing apparently, scores a late overtime winner in the final 30 seconds of OT. Red Wings win 5-4 in Montreal. They'll go to Detroit on Tuesday. Penguins need Montreal to be upset and angry and get a little revenge. If there was a little bit of some over celebration, maybe the Canadians will have a little chip on their shoulder on Tuesday to end their division rivals season. The Penguins also, here's the one that they could get. Philadelphia beating Washington. The Flyers actually could make the playoffs still. It's a little bit convoluted. Essentially, the Flyers need to beat the Capitals on Tuesday, and then the Penguins game becomes for a playoff spot. If the Penguins beat the Islanders, then the Penguins would be in. Let's say the Flyers beat the Capitals and the Islanders beat the Penguins, then the Flyers would be in. But if the Capitals win on Tuesday over the Philadelphia Flyers, then the Penguins game on Wednesday is a joy trip through Long Island. In other words, there's no such thing. Now let's get to the Nashville game. Let's talk about what the Penguins did well anyway. The first 20 minutes, they were on Nashville. They were all over every puck. Now, what they were doing, I don't know if you caught how many times the defensemen activated. Even Jack St. Ivany and Ryan Shea made appearances below the dots. They cycled 4 sticks very well. They kept the pressure on Nashville. Even when Nashville tried to chip it off the glass or get it out of the zone, the Penguins defensemen really held the blue line. It might have been the defenseman's best period of the season by a mile. Erik Karlsson skated. Chris Letang played a solid, smart game. That third pairing has been how should I say it? An addition by subtraction. The old third pairings were so bad, and this third pairing is steady, reliable, and consistent with St. Ivany and Shea. It is, I suppose. So with that, also, Michael Bunting, again, in Nashville's kitchen. Sidney Crosby, diving for pucks. Evgeny Malkin, there was a sequence in the second period that just typifies how the Penguins played. Malkin kind of circles to the slot, takes a pass from the blue line, lets it rip, doesn't stop there, keeps going, makes a beeline to the net for the loose puck. There's a scrum. I'm not sure who got tripped, be it Bunting or Malkin going to the net. Penguins get a power play. Penguins did score 3 power play goals on Monday. 1 counted, the other 2 didn't. That's a whole nother video probably. 1 was an okay call. Even Mike Sullivan said it was okay. He agreed with it. I thought it was a little soft, but okay. The second one on Lars Eller. Eller was just near the crease. Maybe he had his feet on the crease. Penguins kind of got robbed of 1 there. All's well that ends well. They, of course, win 4-2. So let's get to the Q&A here. We're not going to belabor this too long tonight. because, well, one, I rode the motorcycle to the arena, and two, it's getting colder, and I don't want to ride in the cold. So, Bill Peduto asks, I think I've heard of that guy, huh? What happens when Ryan Graves, Nola Chari, and Matt Nieto get healthy? I should keep that. I'm going to answer this because this could apply to the playoffs. Ryan Graves shouldn't dress again this season for the Penguins. Quite frankly, if there were a way to allow Graves to not dress ever again for the Penguins, he didn't fit. I don't need to pile on or drop the elbow off the top rope to get into all of that. You know it. I know it. I think even he kind of knew it. He played some good games, but there were just far too many systematic mistakes and defenseman 101 gaffes that just never left his game. Even to game 70, he was still wandering from the net and really not using his body near the net and not providing enough of the puck move or anything else to offset those mistakes. Given the way St. Ivany and even the way Ryan Shea is playing. Listen, Shea is not the most talented guy on the planet. He's not the fastest. He's not the most physical. But steady, reliable, a good partner for St. Ivany. That addition has been huge for the Penguins. And, you know, I don't know if St. Ivany was ready before they brought him up. You know, you wonder what could have happened there had the Penguins made the hard choices just a little sooner. It's one of 1,000 what ifs, right? Achari, he comes right back in the lineup. He's the best fourth line center the Penguins have. Penalty killer, energy, speed, grit. He brings it all. Let's not lump him in with the struggling veterans. He didn't score a lot, but he wasn't brought in here to do that. And Matt Nieto, I don't necessarily understand everyone's proclivity to argue about fourth-line wingers. They're all about the same. Jansen Harkins, Radim Zohorna, Jesse Puljujärvi, Matt Nieto. They're all going to give you just about the same amount of production. All right, Joe asks, Karlsson seems to have found his game. Is that enough to keep him around for another year? Well, one, yes, he was. I don't think the Penguins really had any intention to move him unless he said so. I mean, he might say, listen, guys, I'm 34. I came here to win a cup. If we're not there, let's move it along. He could say that. I don't get that impression yet, but let's talk again after breakup day, which might be this Saturday. So we'll see. My gut feeling right now anyway, which could change, right, is that Karlsson will be a Penguin next season. In fact, I think he'll be one of two pillars for the Penguins next season. I think you'll see a team really oriented around Sidney Crosby and Erik Karlsson. Maybe like it should have been this year. And let's go to Puck U. Regardless, if the Penguins make the playoffs, they are not a cup contender. Only noteworthy player that Sully made accountable was Tristan Jarry. Who will hold the core accountable? You're assuming that they're not held accountable. What, you're going to scratch Chris Letang, Evgeny Malkin? You're going to scratch Erik Karlsson? I mean, this is the fan hyperbolic stuff and over-emotional stuff that's never going to happen with any coach on any team. All right? It's just not going to happen, Puck. So who's going to hold them accountable? They hold themselves accountable. Trust me when I tell you Mike Sullivan holds them accountable. Maybe not in the same way that he used to. When he first came on, of course, what was it, 2016, sit down and, shut the blank up. He doesn't have to do that stuff anymore. He can't do that stuff anymore. They've been together now 9 years. And Sullivan does have a little bit of a tightrope to walk in terms of keeping the team versus maybe cracking the whip and getting just a little extra every now and then. Although, look, when the situation called for it late in the season, they did rise. And one of the questions I'll be asking of everybody after it's all said and done, whenever that might be, is, has the last few weeks changed your perception or brought you more optimism for the near future of the Penguins? I kind of think it has. I think it's brought a lot of your optimism out. I just, the tenor and the tone of the fans in the last couple of weeks, kind of latching on to Alex Nedeljkovic, kind of just appreciating what Sidney Crosby has done. You're not even hating on Evgeny Malkin anymore. So I think this run was probably vital for the Penguins. And you might say it's a bad thing because they won't make necessary changes. I think Dubas is a little bit immune to that. We saw that with the Jake Gensel trade. He's not going to allow too many emotions a second time to delay what he has to do. How deep he cuts will also depend on how giving the other 31 general managers are. So all of that will table to the offseason. All right, perhaps from the final time from PPG Paints Arena, with the little podium behind me and Jeff Hathorn hiding over there, I'm Dan Kingerski. On the Pittsburgh Hockey Now, the National Hockey Now YouTube channel.